Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to give you guys a quick video. I just made some cake goop. I am going to add a recipe to my site. This just helps release your cakes and you don't have to flour and oil your pans and make a big mess because you know how flour gets everywhere. So I just make up some cake goop. The recipe is 1 cup of vegetable shortening, 1 cup of oil, and 1 cup of flour. You can mix that in a blender or with a hand blender if you don't have a mixer. And it just makes for a great cake release. If you can see. Don't mind the barking in the background. That's my little one. She's always barking at another dog or cat. I'm also going to make my vanilla cake recipe from scratch. I generally have everything prepared, but this morning I don't. I've just got a few things going on that I'm trying to get figured out. So I also am starting a subscription list for those of you that want to follow me on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. I'll be adding some tips and tricks, and I'm also going to be adding some classes on different cakes that I make. So first you're going to take, hold on. Like I said, generally I have all this ready, but this morning I'm just a little crazy. But we all have those days, right? Okay. So I'm doing a double batch. So I'm going to take 5 cups of flour and sift it. I like it sifted because it just makes my cake look better and taste better, I think. It doesn't have near as many pockets whenever you bake it. So I just sift my flour. And if you guys get bored, you can definitely fast forward to the recipe. I'll have that at the end. But I know we see all these cake and baking shows and everything just looks so simple. But I'm here to tell you that some stuff, you know, if you don't know what you're doing, which it looks like me right now, but if you don't know what you're doing, some things, you know, from scratch can be difficult. Like I said, I'm going to do 5 cups of flour sifted. Try to sift this a little quicker. And that's 2. Now let's just get my flour straight out of there and straight into the strainer or the sifter. That is 3. And 4. Because like I said, I am making a double batch, and if you want to make a single batch, you just cut this recipe in half. That is 4, and 1 more. Last one. So we'll sift that, throw that back in there. That's where I keep it. Just makes life easier for me. I don't have to look for a cup every single time. All right. If you don't have one of these sifters, you can find them at the Dollar Tree, at Walmart, Target, Home Goods. I believe I got mine at Walmart, I want to say. But they're everywhere. You can find them. They're relatively inexpensive. Okay, so that is done. I'm going to throw that over here. And I'm going to set this over here. Because I want to make sure I have all of my ingredients ready before I get started. I've got my baking powder. And it calls for 2 1/4 spoons of baking powder. But because I'm doubling it, I'm going to do 4 level teaspoons. I'm sorry, teaspoons, not tablespoons. I'm going to do 2, 3. You may not can see this over here, but I'm putting it straight into my flour. 4 teaspoons and 2 quarters. 2/4 teaspoons straight into my flour. Just pop that back on and move it over here out of the way. So the only thing I don't have is my sugar. I have my butter. I'm going to put that over here. I'm not using butter in this recipe. I'm going to use oil because this is going to be a structured cake for... It's actually a client's cake. It's going to be Charizard from Pokemon. So I'm pretty excited about that. So then we're going to go, since it's a double recipe, we're going to go 4 cups of sugar straight into the mixer. So 4, that is 2. That is 3. And 4. So 4 cups of sugar. And put that right back on there. Move my butter in that mixer, and I'm going to pull this one closer so you can kind of see what's happening over here. So I do have 2 mixers. My husband was kind enough to get me the big KitchenAid for Christmas, and it is amazing. Let's just say I can do double batches instead of the single batch in the smaller KitchenAid, and it's not near as messy. So what I'm going to do is I generally do 4 cups of sugar and 8 eggs. I know that sounds like a lot of eggs, but you want it to be a structural cake so that you can carve it and it doesn't just crumble. So we're going to go ahead and turn our mixer on low and just add in the sugars, or add in the eggs to the sugar to incorporate them. Let it mix up so that you know you're incorporating the sugar and the egg. I speed it up a little bit just for mixing, and then slow it back down to drop in another couple eggs. I want to make sure it's really mixed well. And then slow it down. Add in your last 2 eggs and set that aside. Speed it up so it's all worked in there. I'll kind of move it closer so that you can see. And once you get that going, and we're stirring up, like I said, 4 cups of sugar, 8 eggs, then turn the speed down. And we are going to incorporate some of the flour, and we have 5 cups of flour here. So if you were going to make a single batch, you would only need 2.5 cups of flour. So we're going to add about, I don't know, 1/3 of the flour. And then add your milk, 2 cups of milk for the double, 1 cup for the single. Add your oil, 3/4 cup for a single and 1.5 cups for a double. And I'm going to go ahead and put my vanilla into my milk. And I'm going to go ahead and throw my salt into my flour. Mix it up a little. And then we're just going to add some more flour. Try to get it all in there. Not over on the side like I do sometimes. Add a little more milk. And a little more oil. Let it mix. Turn it back down, add more flour. Do not add the flour when it's up on high because you will have a mess. I have done it, so trust me, I know. Okay, we're going to add probably about half of what we had left in the bowl. And then we're going to add more milk, more oil. And I like to let that just kind of work its magic. Look at that yummy goodness. Vanilla cake from scratch. This is also what you would call a base cake, where you could add different ingredients to get different flavors. For instance, you could add orange zest, lemon zest, and just incorporate that into the batter as it's mixing. Or you could put it in your wet ingredients before you start adding your dry ingredients. I like to play around. You know, baking is a science, so I like to play around different little things to see what works best. Sometimes I have fails, and that's okay. We're not perfect, none of us. So I'll add a little more flour. It looks like the bowl's getting pretty full. I'm going to save just a touch of that flour for the end. And I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of my milk, the rest of my oil. Okay, so let me go over the recipe one more time. For a double batch, we have 5 cups of flour, 8 eggs, 2 cups of milk, 1.5 cups of oil, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You could add more salt if you like, but I try to stay away from too much salt. It does add flavor to your cake. It actually enhances the flavors, but you don't want to overdo it either. So, we'll clean up. And then we have a double batch of vanilla cake. And this is actually going to be my base for my structure cake that I'm about to do. Just let that mix. I want to make sure all the clumps are out. Turn it on high. You don't want to overmix. You don't want to undermix. I say about 2 to 3 minutes.